Okay, we are live.
Sorry.
Yes. Say check.
Check, check,
Varsha, say check.
check, check.
Okay. Start. I think a lot of people have come online. Okay, so I just would like to introduce Michelle. Michelle, if you can introduce yourself, where are you from?
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Michelle and I'm from Mumbai, though I'm currently living in Chennai. Chennai is like second home. Chennai is where I met JD also for the first time
That's the most important info.
in church. And yeah, what else do you want me to say about myself?
Yeah, so you would have a lot of you would have seen Michelle in some of the Song on Fire videos. A lot of songs that we have done, and we actually did a recording of 4-5 songs which we are yet to release. So and this whole genesis of idea started when Michelle narrated the whole "Kuch Kuch Hota Hai" movie. Scene by scene, I think very dramatically. And that evening, I
Yes.
spoke to Varsha, and that is how this whole idea kind of took shape. So Varsha, where are you from and what do you do right now?
Okay, I am from Cochin and I work as a software engineer with Cognizant. So I'm from Cochin. Yeah, what else do you want
So
me to
did
say?
you like? So I watched the movie Varsha only 2-3 days back after she narrated the story. But did you watch Kuch Kuch Hota Hai at that time when it got released when we were all young? Do you
I
remember?
don't remember. I don't remember when I first watched it, but
Uh,
I think uh might be, yeah, 20 years back should have been that time. I
was
don't
it a
remember.
was it a phenomena in even in Kerala? This Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, where or your
Yeah, yeah,
friends?
very much.
Okay.
Very much. It was the ultimate Bollywood experience for I think for most of our friends, including
Mhm.
me.
Uh,
So it was a huge hit, and it kind of um it was Karan Johar's idea of the
the
right kind
romance.
of girl and how the romance and how he actually utilized that love triangle, that point.
Mm,
So it is kind of a nostalgic thing for most of us. So I
mm.
think I watched it in the released year itself. If I'm not,
Okay.
I don't remember, but that's what I think.
I didn't even know what Kuch Kuch Hota Hai would have meant at that time I was in school. So okay, Michelle, for you it was a big deal, right? Like it was one of your favorite movies. How was your experience watching it?
I think as far as I remember, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai was the first Hindi movie that I remember very vividly, watching. I don't have any memory of any other Hindi movie before that. And I think for me, by then I had already grown to be a Shah Rukh Khan fan. So, this whole Shah Rukh Khan, Kajol combination,
Chemistry.
um, the chemistry, along with, as Varsha was saying, this friends turning into lovers, and, the whole love triangle. I mean, everyone was, you know, it's like, how do you say it? For me, it was the whole package, right? It isn't just the story. It was the pop colors, the songs, you know the dialogues, you fall in love with the characters. So for me, for a very long time, it was a favorite. I think, I mean, I would still go back and watch it, but of
Same.
course, this was what 20 years
Did you watch
ago.
it in the
So
theater, dude?
I think I did watch it in a
You know
theater
what? For
for the
guys,
first
right?
time, and then after that, multiple times.
Yeah.
Whenever I watched movies in theater, right, and when it's like a heroic movie, and when we were walking down the stairs of the theater, for some time the hangover of that heroism is within us. Like so, when they are playing the music, I am also walking like the hero, as I'm walking down the stairs. Did you have that kind of a hangover feeling?
Not really. No,
No,
no, no. I
it's a
don't think I was
different kind of
that
movie. Yeah,
dramatic.
yeah.
Cool.
I don't think it was that kind of movie. This
Mm.
was more of a feel good, one of those sweet.
Comforting. Yeah.
Yes, yes. At the end of it, you're happy. Everyone's happy. One of those kind of movies. But I think over the years, also, as you grow, you learn more, and you start to see things also perhaps a bit more clearly than
Differently.
you would have when you were younger. So yeah, while I guess there are a lot of things I could, you know, pick out in the movie that I may find inappropriate today, I would still watch it. I think it's still a classic. It's still a huge
Cool.
movie. Yeah.
So, Varsha, we are going to just kind of explain what we are going to do and then move into the discussion. So, we are just going to analyze what the movie, the who made the movie, how did the movie come into existence, and then you are also going to share the review of the movie, and then Michelle will explain the plot, and then I will just give a brief framework of what the Catholic teaching is on the fullness of love, and then we will try to analyze the whole plot of the movie under the fabric of the Catholic teaching. So that's how we're going to go. So Varsha, so as we all know, this movie was written and directed by Karan Johar. So I think this was the first movie that he wrote, right? The script.
Yeah, yes. It was his first directorial venture as well.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, he wanted, to make a definition for love and friendship. That is the whole idea behind the movie, the storyline. And as we already said, it's from Dharma Productions, his father's production house. And then it had a lot of beautiful songs from Jatin Lalit. So some of them are my personal favorites. This thing, Tum Paas Aaye and all. We can never forget this song.
Yes.
That is the
Then,
song that is played in the last scene. Tum paas
ha,
aaye.
No,
yeah,
that's
No?
the
yeah.
slow version of the song, that the
Yeah,
sad
yeah.
Sad
version, right?
version. Yeah,
Yeah.
sad. Alka
Okay.
Yagnik's version. Yeah.
Okay.
So there are
Then.
two versions for the same song. And then iconic dialogues, I must say, there are a lot of iconic dialogues, Pyar Dosti Hai and all that. We can never forget. And even if we try to say that it's a movie with a lot of cliches and stereotypes, we would still try defending the movie for its, I don't know what some feel that it gives us, right?
Yeah.
Some comforting warmth, something. I don't really know what to say.
So
But
at that time, Karan Johar was not a big name, right? I mean, of course, the production house was
his
big.
father
There
was,
was.
yeah, but he was just starting off. But later on, I think with the same formula, he created a lot of box office hit films.
Mhm.
So it was like a start of an era for him.
Yeah.
Similar formula, but different, characters and situations. But then, yeah,
Yeah.
that was just his beginning.
And did the movie have good reviews initially? Like in the first 2 weeks, was it like a, was it? Did it create the phenomena that all of you guys are talking about?
It sure did. Until recent times, when people started to evaluate the movie scenes and the character arcs,
Uh,
it was, as I said, ultimate Bollywood experience. We can't think about it like a bad movie. It's still a favorite for many of us.
yeah.
So it received well with anyone, I think.
And Michelle, so we were talking about the Kajol Shah Rukh Khan chemistry, right? But there was a movie which they
Mhm.
did before this, isn't it?
Dilwale
Kabhi.
Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. Yes.
But the chemistry and the Kajol Shah Rukh Khan thing happened in Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, isn't it?
I
That
would say in Dilwale
No,
Dulhaniya, isn't it?
Dilwale Dulhania.
It's in
Yeah,
Dilwale.
it was.
I think, which is why Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, we already knew this Kajol Shah Rukh Khan
It's
chemistry,
going
so
to
that
work out.
added to yeah, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai being what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
and Rani Mukherjee also was like for her this was a big breakthrough, right? For her.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
We
Uh,
saw Rani Mukherjee in a lot of Karan Johar movies later.
Yes.
It was like a template for a Karan Johar movie.
but she got married to the opposite production house, the competitive production house guy, Aditya Chopra from what's the
Aditya
banner?
Chopra.
From which banner?
Oh God, I don't
Uh,
remember.
I forgot the banner. Dude. What is the banner, Michelle? The big banner of the Bollywood
Uh,
producer. Okay, anyway. So yeah. Sucks. Yeah, Yash. No. Yash Films.
Yash Raj Productions.
Yes,
Yeah, I
right.
don't remember.
Cool. Okay, so Michelle, so if you can, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to explain the plot. Quickly, introduce the characters and the whole, what the story of the movie is in 1 minute and 30 seconds, and then we will go into the discussion.
okay, so what
Go back a
happens
little.
is,
Go back. Go back.
is this fine?
Yes.
Okay. So you have Kajol and Shah Rukh Khan, Anjali and Rahul, who are in college. They are best friends. Kajol is like a tomboy. She wears, pants and shirts. She has short hair, whereas Rahul is like he's like the college Romeo. Okay, so he's always chasing the women, and apparently the women are also chasing him. And they, Kajol and Shah Rukh Khan share this beautiful friendship. They're together all the time. They're fighting. They're making up, and everything is going fine and well until one day Tina walks in. Now Tina is Rani Mukherjee, and when Rahul sees her, obviously, Rahul is smitten, and he thinks he's in love with her. He starts pursuing her, and I think, till that point, you don't see any difference between Tina and the other girls he usually chases in college. But I think when he sees this different side of her, this absolutely woman, but yet she has all the sanskars, I think that is when he falls for her. And in the middle of all this, we see that Kajol now Anjali is beginning to feel a bit, perhaps insecure, and she is, now vying for his attention, or she wants his attention, and in the process of it, she falls in love with Shah Rukh Khan. So you have Kajol, who has fallen in love with Shah Rukh Khan, who has fallen in love with Rani Mukherjee. But the thing is, Rani Mukherjee loves Shah Rukh Khan as well. And so when Kajol realizes that, this isn't going to happen, she decides to leave. And so she leaves college, she goes back home. And on the side, you have Kajol and, Rani Mukherjee and Shah Rukh Khan, they get married. But then when Rani gives birth to a daughter, a few days later, she passes away. And so Shah Rukh Khan is raising the girl all on his own. And what Rani does is she writes letters to her daughter, one for each birthday, for each year. And on her 8th birthday, the letter that she writes to her daughter talks about the friendship between Kajol and Shah Rukh Khan in college. And this is where Rani explains to her daughter that, your dad had a best friend, and this is who she is, and I know that she loved him. So you need to bring them together. You need to find this woman and bring them together. And so then the whole movie continues like that. You find the little girl looking for Kajol. She finds her at a summer camp, which she attends. And she lands up there. And in the process of it, you find Shah Rukh Khan also landing up there. And 10 years later, there's this reunion, with Kajol and Shah Rukh Khan. It's very dramatic. And they don't know how to, interact with each other initially, because Kajol has completely transformed. She's not like a tomboy anymore. She's wearing saris, she has makeup, jewelry, and stuff like that. And in the process of spending time at the camp, Shah Rukh Khan realized, oh, I'm in love with her, with Kajol. And Kajol's, I think, feelings for Shah Rukh Khan.
Dude,
also...
you forgot the important twist. But Kajol was engaged to Salman.
Wait, not yet. Let me.
Your time is over. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a 3-hour movie. Hold on. So Kajol realizes that she has feelings for Shah Rukh Khan as well. Of course, they don't say it to each other. They don't say anything. But what is also revealed during this time is that Kajol is actually engaged to Aman, who is played by Salman Khan. Okay, she's engaged to him. And now Aman lands up at the summer camp. So now you have this other triangle, which has Aman, who played by Salman, Kajol, and Shah Rukh Khan. And I think Kajol is either in denial or, for whatever reason, she's so overcome and overwhelmed by her emotions. She says, okay, fine, I'm just going to get married to Salman Khan. And then they go back, and this is the climax. Okay, this is the final scene where they go back. It's wedding day, and Kajol is all decked up and dressed up. And she's looking out of the window, and there's a shooting star. That's passing by. I think there's a history with the shooting star.
They make a wish.
And of course, when she turns around, it's Shah Rukh Khan who's standing there, and that is when he confesses his love for her without words. And that is when they play the sad "Kuch Kuch Hota Hai"
version of Tum Pass Aaye.
Yes. And so now she knows that, okay, oh my gosh, now he loves me. But it's time for her to go down and get married to Salman Khan. So she's walking down the stairs, and this is where she stops and she starts crying. And, she's looking at Shah Rukh Khan, Shah Rukh Khan's looking at her, Salman Khan's looking at her, everyone's looking at her.
Dude.
And
Anjali's crying.
And we are also crying watching the whole thing. And that is when Salman Khan, it's been dropped silent, but then they play this like really a dramatic music, and he takes off the thing from his head and he walks up to her, and you would assume that he's now upset because she's not walking down the stairs to get married to him. But he takes her by the hand, and instead of taking her to the mandap, which is where where they get married, he goes past it. So Kajal's also wondering, like, what is he doing? And then he tells her, he says, I know what it's like to lose the first love, and all of that. And he says, I know that you love him, he loves you. And so he says, Jao Anjali, like, go, go to your first
Jiyo
love.
apni zindagi.
Yeah, something like that. And we're all like, whoever's watching, I'm sure we were all sitting with tissue boxes.
And Kajol got married to Shah Rukh Khan and happily ever after.
And she goes to him, and I think that's also a very sweet scene because they're hugging each other, and you don't know if they're laughing or crying. It's both at the same time. But that is the part where I always teared up even more. And the end, everyone was happy ever after.
Okay, bravo, Michelle.
Good job, Michelle.
Okay, so now Varsha and Michelle. So this is where, whether we like it or not, movies have a deep impact on our culture and our mindset and our understanding of so many things. So I think this movie has impacted a lot of us growing up in our generation, and all of us have different versions of love. But as Catholics, I think we are obligated to understand what does the Catholic Church have to say about the love in its fullness. So I think nobody would have thought in a million years that Kuch Kuch Hota Hai and Theology of the Body will be mentioned in the same sentence ever. Pope John Paul would be like in heaven thinking, what are these guys doing? But I think it has a lot of relevance because this movie has defined love for most of them in India, and I think it's good that we try to analyze the whole plot of the movie under the fabric of the Catholic teaching. So I just would like to quickly take all of us through what the theology of the body talks about the fullness of love, and what are the different stages in which it happens, and what happens if we break down in one of these steps, and how our love can get how we can have the wrong understanding of love, and how it can distort relationships and make it toxic. So so explaining theology of the body. So Michelle, you are also part of a group which discussed this, so you can also add to what I'm sharing. So the first step in do you want to say the 4 kinds of love?
Yes. I think I'll just speak about the 4 kinds of love before we get into what theology teaches.
Yeah.
So there are actually 4 kinds of love, and these 4 are storge. So storge is the first kind of love, which is more like family love between family members, liking someone through familiarity, right? There's natural affection, parents for children, children for parents, or even extended family for that matter. And this is usually generally, an unconditional kind of love, right? Then we have filial love. Filial love is basically love between good friends, like natural human friendship. It's more of a platonic love, and it's also a chosen love because we choose whom to be friend, right? And then you have the third kind of love is Eros. Now, Eros is a romantic kind of love, love between a man and a woman. It's more of a passionate, romantic, attraction that they share, attraction and desire for one another. That's Eros. And, all of these 3 are good, but the highest form of love is agape. This is the 4th kind of love. And agape flows from the unconditional love of God. It's the most supreme and supernatural
purest form of love.
Yeah, the purest form of love, and it's unconditional because it's made visible in our acts towards others. So this flows from the love of God. It's the kind of love where you don't expect anything in return. It doesn't seek advantage. It's a self-giving love. It's a selfless kind of love. So so these are the 4 kinds of love. But I think today, based on what we are talking about, we will be focusing more on Eros. Yeah.
The romantic form of love. Hey, Varsha, have you heard these things? Because for me also it was, as we were preparing, it's when I also heard about the 4 kinds of love. Have you heard of these before?
No, I've not. I mean, I've heard of agape, but the other 3, no. Because agape, I think I've seen, institutions named after the word agape, but otherwise I didn't know about the 4 kinds of love or
It was very interesting, right? It's kind of helpful for us to understand different forms of love. Okay, so
Definitely.
can I
Yeah.
just give the framework, and then both of you can share your comments on it, and then we'll go into the discussion and analyze the plot of the movie. So, in the stages of falling in love, the first thing that happens is the physical attraction, and we can also call this as a sensuality, because we are just attracted to the body and the body of the person, and it's basically a sexual urge that all of us have once we hit puberty. And I think it was very interesting for me to read why God put this sexual urge in us, the physical attraction that we have towards the opposite sex. And this is what it says. It's like, I have never heard physical attraction, kind of made so holy. So this says, this desire contains a call to go out of ourself sufficiency, breaking the circle of our own isolation. Through this desire, we discover that life starts with a call to love. It's not good for man to be alone. That's kind of a very holy description of physical attraction, right? Because in our world today, we tend to kind of course, it's distorted in many ways, but we think physical attraction in itself is something bad, the attraction that we all have for the opposite sex. But then, that's not the Catholic understanding. In fact, it is something that is put in us by God. But where the problem happens is when we bring down the whole understanding of physical attraction to the point of love. We think that this bodily attraction that we have for each other is love. Then we tend to stay at that level, and then we tend to become sexually intimate, and we start using each other's body for the sexual pleasure. Then it becomes kind of an utilitarian kind of a love, which is just both of us, both the boy and the girl, are using each other for the sense of sexual pleasure. So that is the first stage, but physical attraction in itself is not wrong. The second stage is where the emotional attraction, which is called sensibility. I mean, what is that word? Michelle, can you pronounce it for me?
Can
Sentimentality,
you spell
correct?
it for me? Sentimentality.
Sentimentality. So this is where you get attracted to the personality of the person, the virtue that he exhibits, the way he speaks, the way he behaves, all that, and then you start entering into the world of the other person. Like, you start sharing your worldview, your likes and your dislikes, your perspective of life, and slowly you start bonding emotionally with this person. So what happened, this in itself is also very good. This is also put in us, and this is the way that God has created us, for a man and a woman to get closer with each other, to get attached with each other. But this also is not love. And so if we stop at this level, then what happens is we start using each other's emotion for our own self-satisfaction. So again, it becomes an utilitarian kind of a love. So, both physical attraction and the emotional attraction are very important steps towards love, but that in itself is not love. Okay, so now we go to the third step, where actually the miracle of love happens, where we are attracted to this particular person, and we are both physically and emotionally, and then after we have enough knowledge, we decide to fall in love with this particular person, which means we love this person in spite of their strengths, in spite of their weaknesses, accepting their strengths. So that is where the miracle of love happens, and then the man can finally say, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, as Adam said to Eve. So then we know that love has happened, and yeah, so heaven is rejoicing. So then that is the fourth step. So this is where actually we fall in love. So you see, right, there are so many different steps for love to happen. Most of us just get so excited with the physical attraction and the emotional connection that we have with this person, and we immediately think we are in love with this person. No, love is just not based upon attraction and feeling, but it's a decision that we make. So I think that is the right understanding and the mature understanding of love. And then the fourth important point is, like, see, even though the spouse, the boy and the girl, love each other, they cannot satisfy, because their love is still not in its purest form. So that is why our love has to be dealt in relationship with God. We have to start seeing the person that we love in relationship with God. That is why when a boy and a girl get married, they take a vow before the altar of God, telling God that, God, we need you to be the third person in this triangle of love. So yeah, so that is when our love can be stable. It is only when we allow God to cherish us through His love that our love for the other person becomes purer and purer and more genuine and more stable. So physical attraction, emotional attraction, finally love happens, and then we sanctify the love in the altar of God. So this is what Pope John Paul II has really kind of enlightened the whole world with his teachings on the theology of the body. Of course, they know this is a kind of a diluted understanding. Of course, the framework is clear. But if anybody would like to understand more about it, I definitely would direct you to Theology of the Body institutes and wherever they are teaching theology of the body. So now we are going to use this framework to analyze the plot of the movie. So Varsha, I would like to start with you. So based on this, do you think at that last scene when Kajol is caught up between Shah Rukh Khan and Salman Khan and she doesn't know which way to go, which way she should have gone given the framework?
I think for me, she should have chosen Aman.
Salman Khan, you
Because
mean?
Aman is Salman Khan, yes, Salman Khan, because Salman's character loves Kajol in spite of all the, you know, meaning in spite of everything
For
that
who she
I
is.
mean, she's not attractive of who she is, and she's not attractive. I mean, when compared to Aman, I mean Salman Khan. And in fact, there is a scene in the movie where the baby Anjali tries to convince Salman Khan to marry a character called Neelam, and she's very beautiful and she's very charming. And Salman's character says, though the Kajol's character is not so fair and attractive, yet he loves Kajol.
Hmm.
So I think for me that's more purer than Rahul's selfish love for Kajol. So I think that is more close to Catholic way of teaching. I think,
Yes,
yeah.
and also, so there is it is also if they've come to the point of engagement, which means Kajol also reciprocated to the love that Salman Khan showed. So it's not like only Salman loved Kajol. Kajol also kind of loved until she met Shah Rukh Khan, right? Michelle, what do you have to say about this?
Well, I agree with what you say, where you said that Kajol also reciprocated and, she goes ahead with the engagement and everything.
Mm.
But I think if she was so sure, there would have been no confusion, even though Shah Rukh Khan showed up after 10 years.
Mm.
And I think the fact that he showed up after 10 years and, she looks at him and she realizes, oh, there's still something, there's still, kuch kuch hota hai. I think that she is seeing Shah Rukh Khan after 10 years. So the Shah Rukh Khan that she remembers is someone she knew in college 10 years ago. So I really don't understand, as you said, looking at it from the framework that we've discussed. I don't understand how someone could have those feelings for someone they've just met after 10 years, because you evolve, you grow. There's so much that there's so much
Become a
of growth
different
along the
person,
way.
yeah.
You become a different person. And so I feel like here Kajol was probably stuck in the first or the second stage that you said. There's the physical, the emotional, but I don't think they spent enough time together for her to get to know, the man he's become. And so, I mean, that's one side of it, where she's stuck over there. And on this side, yeah, sure, she could have, chosen Salman Khan and gone ahead with it since he loves her so much. But I think that would have been so unfair for Salman Khan also, imagine if she had to say yes to Salman Khan, in spite of still having these first or second stage,
But that's not
feelings
love,
for
right?
Shah Rukh
So
Khan.
that's not unfair. The feelings will evaporate or go away eventually. See, the physical attractions and the feelings, one of the reason why Pope John Paul II says do not base your whole understanding of the other person on this alone is because it could be fleeting. Like the feelings for tomorrow, she goes on a honeymoon with Salman Khan to say some really beautiful place. These feelings will not be even in the subconscious of our mind. It is,
Probably, yeah. But then I think then she shouldn't have said, "Oh, let's get married early." I think preponed the wedding.
Yeah,
She
there's
just
a
wanted to
scene,
get it
right.
done with. So either she was in denial of her feelings, or that may not have been the best thing to do, I guess. Yeah.
no,
But
it's
I think
didn't.
there's a scene wherein the mother, I mean, Salman asks Kajol's mother if she's got a different feeling about the relationship. And Salman's character is telling Kajol's mother that he finds that something is missing in the relationship. So he kind of sensed that gap, so that is there. So it's not that Kajol, full-heartedly wanted to marry Salman. It's just for her mother, I think. or maybe she didn't want to fail again in the relationship. Maybe that's the thing.
And Michelle, to your point, you say that she did not want to deny her feelings. Like I have feelings for Priyanka Chopra or Katherine Heigl. I cannot simply get married to them, right? Even though I have feelings. So
Right.
denying the feelings doesn't necessarily mean that I'm being unfair. If the feeling cannot be matured into love or marriage, then what's the point in me having the feelings? So I would say it was. I mean, Kajol should have. Probably she was afraid of the feelings and she was like scared. Oh, these feelings will overwhelm her. But if you are a human being and if you don't have control over these things, then I mean, I think she was like afraid that this will overwhelm her because of the past friendship and all that they've had. But
Yes,
I
and
think
got
they should have been
overwhelmed.
definitely fine if she had married Salman Khan and gone ahead, because that is where the point in love has matured. These feelings are so high in her, she thinks this is love. But that is love,
Mhm.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I still think that, if it had reached that point of maturity, I don't see why there should have even been confusion seeing Shah Rukh Khan 10 years later.
Varsha, and also Varsha, I wanted to ask you this. So in that scene, there are three people. So Shah Rukh Khan is there, Salman Khan is there, Kajol is there. So Kajol is kind of doesn't know where to go. She thinks she loves Shah Rukh Khan more than Salman Khan, but she also likes Salman Khan and she's engaged and she's in that marriage area. So if let's analyze the love that Shah Rukh had, like he comes to this summer camp, he meets Kajol, and all the memories kind of get. Kind of refreshed in their mind. So I would say that Shah Rukh Khan was still in that sense of physical attraction, because now he's seeing Kajol in a sari, more beautiful, more trimmed, not like the
Yeah.
tomboy she was in college. And then she gets to kind of relive the memories that they had in college. So I think it is still first or intermediate between the first and the second level. I don't think so. They have spent time enough to say, okay, I'm going to love this person no matter what. Means they don't know enough, because 10 years apart, the person becomes different, right? If you had seen me 10 years before that, you wouldn't even have a coffee with me. But I've changed so much in 10 years. So what do you think Shah Rukh Khan also got better of, he let the feeling get better of him and confused Kajol in that summer camp?
I think so because in the first half as well, he had the option to marry Kajol, his longtime friend, or Tina, the Rani
Rani.
Mukherjee's character. Yeah, but she was better. I mean, she was better looking, and she was all that right kind of girl, according to Karan Johar. Then he chose Rani Mukherjee because that was more convenient. I mean, for his status quo or anything. But later on, I think when Kajol left, even at that point, he was not, he was not understanding why she is leaving. I mean, he just believed that the Kajol's father is not well, and that's the reason
She's leaving. She
the
never.
Kajol is leaving. Yeah, but actually, if he was a good friend, then he would have understood, right? And then later on, when he sees Kajol in the summer camp, even then, if Kajol was the old Kajol, I don't think he would have felt the same that he felt. Because Kajol was literally, I mean, Rani Mukherjee's character in the first half, she was, beautiful, and she was, wearing all Manish Malhotra saris. I don't know if Manish Malhotra did the fashion designing, but then she was very pretty. She was, I mean, perfect to every bit. And that's the reason, actually, Rahul, I think that's the angle that Karan Johar is trying to anyway showcase her in that. So I think for me, that's the reason
Why Shah Rukh
um,
got attracted?
why Shahrukh, yeah, of course, yeah. And there is, Karan Johar is trying hard to make that, bring that friendship angle by bringing in the basketball scene and all. But I don't think, again, that kind of rekindled this romance. I don't know. I don't think so. It was just the first level of love, according to Catholic teaching.
Probably it
Physical
could.
attraction.
Yeah, probably it could be exactly the physical attraction part, because as you said, Rani Mukherjee, he fell in love with Rani Mukherjee in that scene, right, Michelle, where she's doing this puja and all that, where she's tried a sari and all that.
Yeah, I mean,
So
yeah, I'm not sure if it's specifically that scene, but yes, that is definitely one of the scenes where I think his heart opens up a bit more. Yeah, for
and
Rani, because he
and
sees
when
a
he
different side.
And when he sees Kajol mature to that level of wearing sari or whatever, looking that kind of a matured girl, then he's attracted, and probably he's also emotionally attracted because they are already long time friends. So, the basic compatibility is there. But I think for love to happen, it has to mature in through sacrifice, through understanding, through suffering, through fights, and all that should happen for love to mature, and then you finally analyze, okay, I can live with this person, isn't it? I think it's kind of a little hasty for Shah Rukh Khan to simply come and spoil somebody else's marriage in the middle of.
So true.
But there's nothing concrete that shows that where he has now fallen for her because she's wearing saris and all, right? I mean, of course, he says, "Oh, you're wearing saris and all," but I don't think there's anything concrete that suggests that.
Is
It
there
just so
anything wrong
happens
with
that she
you?
has
There is a
transformed.
line, right?
Which
Is
one?
there anything wrong with you? I mean, there is a line in the movie
Ah,
wherein
yeah. He
is
says
there
you're
anything
wearing
wrong with you? You're
saris
looking
and all of
beautiful.
this.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. So of course, he finds her beautiful, but I don't think that still suggests much of his. Yeah.
And so
She's still trying to defend JD. Die hard
so
fan.
yeah, so now coming to Salman Khan's, I think Salman Khan's love, I would argue, is the purest form here, because he was attracted, otherwise he wouldn't have pursued Kajol in the first place. He got to spend time with Kajol, then he initiated the whole thing to get for till engagement, and then he was constantly telling Kajol, I want to get married to you, I want this marriage to happen fast, 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 which means he was convinced that this is the girl that he wants to live the rest of his life. So which means his love was like, like no matter what, I'm going to love this girl. So I think that is the mature, I mean, what Salman had for Kajol was the mature form of love, which is why I got really angry when he gave up because some guy from 10 years back came and said, played basketball, and suddenly the whole thing became better than, love this person has matured, the love that he had for Kajol. So, Mr., what do you have to say?
Well, I agree that perhaps Salman, Aman, who's played by Salman Khan, I think, yeah, that would be the most pure form of love that we see in the movie. Also because I think it's he throughout the movie, as soon as from the moment Salman Khan comes in, we are so sure that he is completely in love with Kajol. He wants to get married to her. He's doing all he can. He's there with her. He's there with her family. And even when she goes off to summer camp, and we know he's a busy man, yet he misses her, and so he's over there. He goes there to see her because he like it's like even though he knows he's going to marry her, he's constantly pursuing her. And yeah, I think that final scene, where he realizes that okay, these two love each other. Yeah, it can get. If you look at it from Salman's perspective, I guess I get why you would get angry that he let her go. But I mean,
No, I think the problem that I had with the movie ending was somehow they're implicating that first love is somehow the love, and love that nurtures after that cannot be true love. Like he says, I want to give up the true love that I have for you, Kajol, because you loved this guy, so many years, 10 years back. Why?
Yes.
Why should that be the prominent form of love?
But practically speaking, if she has feelings for Shah Rukh Khan at whatever stage it is, at whatever level it is, I mean, why would Salman also want to marry someone whom he knows doesn't really love him back?
No, that is the other side of the argument. But I am saying the fact that Salman Khan should have fought for the love of Kajol should have been much more stronger, because that is the mature form of love. I'm saying what Shah Rukh and Kajol had need not be the true form of love. Could be the first level, second level. So maybe that's what I told you the other day when we were discussing. Maybe I would have told Kajol, take 6 months time, and if you still feel that you want to pursue your relationship with Shah Rukh, then I don't want to be in between, because I don't want to marry a girl who loves another guy or who thinks that she loves another guy. But then immediately kind of on the marriage.
But then
It's a
you're
movie,
not watching a Karan Johar movie.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Karan
I
Johar
mean,
movie
at the end of the day, it's a
has
movie.
to
I mean,
have.
can you imagine him telling her over there, okay, take 6 months and get back to me? I mean, it has to be dramatic,
Yeah.
create that.
That's the formula, JD. It has to be twisty every time.
And I was also sharing, Varsha, like for me it was very emasculating for a guy to be, I think both of them, Salman should have fought for his love because he truly loved Kajol. But Michelle's point is valid because if Kajol doesn't love him back, what's the point? But my point is, it all got confused when Shah Rukh came. Until she was in love, otherwise she wouldn't have agreed to the engagement, right? So till at that point, Kajol's love for Salman was also true. It got messed up and the feelings got triggered and took better of Kajol because Shah Rukh came. And it's all feeling level.
No,
I'm saying,
actually, JD,
go ahead.
even before that, this Salman is actually discussing, I told you, right? He's actually discussing with Kajol's mother that she is not fully convinced with the relationship. That is there
Oh,
somewhere. Karan Johar
Like
is
there
trying
is
to make
something
it
off.
realistic. There is something
Yeah,
off
there's
in the,
something
yeah,
off. And I think even in Kajol's mannerism, you can see the reluctance, in their
yeah.
interaction also. Yeah.
It's not so, yeah, romantic. It's just like
I
a
ah,
mean,
friend
just
to a
because she said
friend.
yes to the engagement, I don't think that we can conclude that her whole heart was in it.
then he should have
It's a,
not gone. So then it is a Salman's problem. Why would he go ahead forward with an engagement with the girl if the girl wasn't sure? So he would have he shouldn't have brought it to engagement. But to
Perhaps.
yes, if that was the issue, then I would argue that engagement in itself was wrong. Why would he bring a girl to the engagement stage if the girl he knows that the girl is not fully convinced with the relationship?
but I think
It's all messed up, dude.
Kajol's mother was trying to get her married. So I think that was
Oh,
the case. Yeah, she was somehow trying to convince Kajol and Aman, that is Salman. So Kajol's mother was not acknowledging to that fact that Kajol had a first love. She's just telling her, no, no, it's okay. She is fine only. She's not acknowledging to that. She's not telling Aman about that as well. So I
I
think
just want
it
to
was mother.
break this myth that somehow first love trumps all form of love, all other love that happens eventually in your life. I just want to tell everybody who's watching this that is not the case. First love is one of the loves that you might have, but it need not necessarily triumph all other love that you have eventually.
Yes.
Maybe the other love that you have could mature into the purest form, and maybe the first love was just the physical attraction or the emotional attraction that you have with this person, or it could just be a crush. But somehow, since that was the first feeling that you experience and it's some kind of an heavenly feeling that you have, it need not trump eventually all other form of love. I think that is the myth that we need to break in this thing. And Varsha, so I know, kind of bringing it to the arranged marriage scenario. So how would you see this framework, kind of applicable in arranged marriage scenario? Do you think it will work? The framework that we have discussed?
Theology of body.
Yes, the physical, the emotional, all that.
I think definitely it applies to any kinds of marriage setup. But then arranged marriage, I don't think it explicitly happen. Maybe it happens very suddenly when compared to love marriages, but I'm not sure. I haven't experienced that. But still, I would say yes. All these stages are to have to happen for a successful
Marriage.
marriage or
Yes.
yeah. So it has to happen. So
And
yes, it
all,
applies to arranged marriage as well.
and also another myth that we need to break, I think, is like people say,
Mm.
oh, what physical attraction, the beauty will eventually go. What emotional attraction you can adjust after marriage. See, I think all these things are very, very wrong kind of instruction or the information that our parents try to enforce just to get us married. I don't think so. God created physical attraction and emotional attraction just to be kind of compromised and overlooked. In fact, that is the genesis of any start of relationship. So I don't think so we should ignore. And if you do not have the physical attraction towards a person, or you don't feel the emotional compatibility, why would you want to get married to that person? I don't understand the logic. Just because your parents say, I mean, our parents going to live the rest of our life. I think that is another myth that we need to break. That physical attraction in itself is not evil. It's very important and an important ingredient for love. So is emotional attraction. Michelle, do you have any thoughts to share on that?
I agree with you, JD. As you said, physical attraction in itself, there's nothing wrong with it. Emotional, the bond that two
That you
people
try
form, again, there's nothing wrong with it. What's wrong is when it's
stops
looked at
them.
as the end goal. You
Yes.
know, it's looked at as, oh, I'm attracted to this person, so he is for me or she is for me. Oh, this person and I share good emotional connection, so he or she is for me. So I think that is where the issue comes in, and also when these areas are overlooked. So I think what TOB does is it gives us all this, it emphasizes the importance of all this, all these ingredients, and you know, in the right portions. You
Hmm.
know, it's not it's like you could have all these things, and then in the end, if there's no love of God, you know, nothing's going to happen, right? So I think it's like I read this story somewhere where which explains this quite well, these 4 points, where a king asks his I think it was a JD sent me, I think, if he's read it, where a king asks his servant, he, you know, gives him like 4 ropes,
Four.
and he asks the servant to kind of break each rope. And the servant does so easily. He breaks 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the king ties these 4 together and he says, okay, now break it. And the servant is, of course, unable to break it. So, you know, in the same way, each of these ingredients is so important, but on its own, it does not constitute love. It is the combination and like a blend of all together. So, yeah.
And yeah, so I think the physical, so you know, when Michelle and I were discussing, I said the physical attraction is the one which starts the motor, like, you know, somebody gets your attention, like, you know, so
He
for
wrote, starts the motor.
like for example, Varsha, you go into a mall or you go into a marriage hall or some function, there are so many people our age and somebody probable bachelors, we don't get that sense of attraction with everybody, isn't it? I know it's a good
Yeah,
thing
we
that
have
God.
a conceptual partner image, I think.
And
Yeah,
also
yes.
because of a formation, and it's good that physical attraction is subjective to people. Just imagine if all the guys are attracted to one girl or all the girls are attracted to one boy, what about the rest of the girls and rest of the boys? So the fact that physical
Sadly, it
attraction
happens almost every time in our college. Okay.
so I'm saying physical attraction, it's good that it's being subjective, because everybody has a different understanding of beauty and physical beauty. So we all get attracted to different kinds of people, and so it's just a good thing, right? You know, somebody gets your attention when that attraction happens. Like for example, so many people don't like Catherine Heigl, but somehow I like that actress. Because that's the weird part, like, you know, you can't say, okay, so that is why it is very wrong for someone to say, oh, she's not so beautiful or she is beautiful, because my understanding of attraction is very different, dude. You can't say get attracted to this girl or get attracted to this guy. That is now that's not how it happens. It has to happen implicitly and naturally. And the second thing is, once you get the motor started, somebody gets your attention through the sense of physical attraction, then you see if there is a possibility for you to create that emotional attachment and the emotional bonding if this person is in your kind of wavelength, right? And then you start
Yeah.
with the second process, and then after spending enough time, after you have digested all the information that you have gotten,
And analyzed. I mentioned
analyzed,
in that also, digested and analyzed.
digested and
All the
analyzed.
wrong terms to have in this.
So then we take a call, then we decide that we want to live with this person for the rest of our life, that I will love this person no matter what. You know, which is why even during the altar, when we take the vows for our marriages, we say sickness in what? Happiness,
Sickness and
Sickness
death,
and
joy and happiness. So, like, you know, it's both. Like, you know, it's not only
yeah.
during times of joy or only during times when
Both
you
and.
feel it's both and. Like, yeah. So, you know, then you decide. So, you know, the funny part is, once you've made the decision to love, your feelings might go up and down, your emotions might go up and down, or maybe after some time you might not like the girl's hairstyle or the way she looks or the fact that she doesn't wear makeup, but even so you decide to love. So that is when, you know, your love becomes stable, and because you've made that decision, it's no more dependent on attraction or your emotional feeling. Then love becomes stable, and then it is sanctified before the altar of God, because God then comes in to rejuvenate your love every time. That is why it's called the sacrament. Marriage is a sacrament because God has a role to play in it. Oh, We brought it to the full circle
Yes, we did.
of Catholic teaching.
And I think also, once, when a couple gets married, so we said that we're focusing on Eros, but if that couple stays at Eros, I mean, again, it could be, here and there. So I think marriage, over
Should
time, even the other forms of
mature.
love have to come in.
Yes.
There needs to be that, also the filial love, the agape love. It has to be a combination of all.
Start.
It can't stay at Eros. So I think that is also quite.
That's a good point, because one of the Catholic speakers said that married life is 98% friendship and only 2% romantic love. So we are explaining this whole framework because we need to pursue somebody, right? So for that you need a really strong push. Like most of the time we feel so disinterested because it takes so much of our time, so much of our emotion, so much of our effort to pursue somebody and fall in love with that person, right? So just imagine if the sexual urge or the attraction was not strong enough, nobody would pursue anybody, right? It'll be like
Yeah.
so which
That's
is why
God's way of, sending us to the person to meet our missing element, right?
Yes.
So Eros is definitely important, and
Very
then
powerful.
it slowly grows into the other forms of love.
No, I'm talking about the power of Eros, that it pushes you outside of you to pursue someone
Outside of beyond
and
yourself.
put in the effort
Yeah.
and the emotion to get to know that person, then fall in love with the person, and then decide, no matter what, I'm going to love this person. That takes immense power inside of you to push you, isn't it? Normally we wouldn't do something like that, isn't it? Outside of a comfort zone. So I think that is what Eros does. It takes us out of ourselves, brings us outside the comfort zone to pursue someone whom we can love. I think that's a great deal, right?
Yeah, I think in your words, Eros starts the motor.
Yeah, it kickstarts the motor.
Motor.
Yeah.
So finally, what are we concluding? Shah Rukh, Kajol, or Salman? Who had the purest form of love?
Salman.
Salman.
For just to disagree, shall I say Shah Rukh?
Oh God! Oh God.
I would say, definitely Salman.
And
Maybe after Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol got married, it grew to be. We don't know that, right?
Yes, it could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe in a
Beyond
sequel we can see.
of the movie.
Just imagine after this movie, every girl who's sitting in the marriage hall waiting, the guy who is supposed to marry her is kind of waiting to whatever, tie the tali or something, and she's imagining kuch kuch hota hai, kuch kuch hota hai. Some guy will come 10 years before and come pull me.
I don't think that happens, JB.
Yeah.
Even though
only in Karan Johar movies.
It's a movie. It's there to entertain. Like for me, I would still watch Kuch Kuch Hota Hai today and still cry when they cry and laugh when they laugh and smile when they
Wish
smile.
when the shooting star go.
The shooting star, the friendship bands, the colors, the dance, the dialogue, all of it. I mean,
The songs, yeah.
Yeah, the songs. Yeah, all the steps, the steps by heart as well. At least I'll speak for a portion of the 90s kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we have really had a very good discussion, right? So even it's clarifying for us too, and all the people who are going to watch this, it could at least give them some understanding of what true love means and why love needs that time and the effort. Otherwise, what you have might just be just a physical attraction or an emotional attraction, which has a potential to mature to love, but it's not. It's only when you make that decision, no matter what, I'm going to fall in love with this person, that's when the miracle of love happens. It's not when the shooting star goes or some guy, walks with that cool chain on his neck. That's not love, dude.
A t-shirt similar to yours.
Yeah.
Just a t-shirt.
So, Michelle, I just would like you to end with some advice that you would like to give for people who are pursuing relationships and they are like so confused because they are attracted, and sometimes they don't feel the emotional compatibility. Their feelings are up and down. What would you say for guys and girls who are in that position?
I would say, just as you described the different stages, as per what, of course, Pope St. John Paul has also said, I would say, if you're driven by your emotions, or if you're just driven by attraction, take it easy. Take it easy.
What do you
Let's
mean, take
not
it easy?
take it easy. I mean, let's not look at that as the end. Oh, I'm attracted to someone, so this is the girl or the boy for me. Or, this girl understands me and we're so emotionally connected, so he or she must be the one. So I think if, some people watching this may be at different levels of these relationships with another person. But I think the third step, which is of course quite important, because that step is where love reaches its maturity. That is where you're willing the good of the other, and you make the decision to love the person after analyzing. And of course, there's a lot of prayer that goes into it. You need to spend time with the person. So I would say it would be wise not to rush.
Rush
Not
what?
to rush. Not to rush
to marriage.
the relationship, the friendship, not to be too, how do you say, to kind of be patient, with the process, of each step. And of course, through it all, none of it is going to make sense if we do not have that ultimate love of God, that relationship with God in our lives. And not just one person, both have to have that relationship in order to seal, like they say, seal the deal, right? In order to seal the entire deal. So be patient with yourself.
What are the prudent ways in which a girl or a guy should pursue their friendship or their relationship till the point that they've made that decision to love? Like, what are some of the steps that you would say that they should? Like you say, spending time. It's all that good, right? But there should be certain things that they shouldn't or should do. What are they?
I think it's also very important to guard your heart during this time. It's very important to guard your heart because, I think that something that you also say is, you don't want to give the other person hope, and then, it doesn't work out and it gets, it gets heart shattering. So I would say guarding your heart is a good step. There's nothing wrong in spending time with the person, but I think even over there, there is a level of prudence that's needed in your interaction with each other. You don't want to put yourself in a situation that could lead to temptation also. Yeah, I mean, what other practical ways could you? Maybe Varsha can add some more.
Yeah, Vasha, what do you say? Like, if somebody, two people are in a relationship and they are like, seeing if they could work out or stuff like that, what are the things they should and should not do?
My God, it's a very difficult question for me. I
Share
think,
what.
yeah, share what I think. For me, as I told you, the emotional part comes more for me. So if I visually like a person, then for me, I think I would connect to the person if he is if I can relate to the person emotionally. So maybe yeah. So if for me, I think somehow Holy Spirit would try to convince me if I am meeting the right person. So basically, for me,
Until
what
then, you will
I
guard your
believe is
heart too,
that
emotionally also, right?
sure, yeah, sure. It's not that I should go and get married to some person who physically or in the periphery looks good, but I have to meet the right person. So for that, what I'm doing, I don't know if that's the best way to do it. I'm praying every day so that when I meet the right person, I get convinced. So that's the thing that I do. But then otherwise, I don't know. I can share after I have had that experience.
Awesome. I would like to end the whole interview with a love story that I had in college, and you can all tell me if it was true.
The Malayali,
Yeah.
what the Malayali said.
Yeah, unfortunately, her parents rejected me because I was not a Mallu. But actually, so the funny part is in college, there were so many girls. That's why I find this physical attraction part quite amusing. There's so many girls. Like in Karunya, we had so many NRI girls, like really beautiful, really stylish, and all that. But I got attracted to a girl who was good looking, but not as stylish or fashionable like how the other guys, went behind. So she used to, so yeah. So then I was attracted. Then in Karunya, you can't even talk to a girl if you. They see boy and a girl talk, they will call you to the principal's office like oh yeah, you talking. So we have I have to find creative ways. So I used to teach her music, so they can't say anything, right? If I'm teaching her to play the guitar for the program, so that's how it all started. And then we started talking. Then she shared the number, and then we started talking. Then that emotional compatibility was so amazing. I just knew she was for me. The compatibility was for me. And then one day I told her that I really like her and all that. The funny part is I had transitioned from physical attraction to emotional attraction to love within a matter of 2 months. But she was like very guarded, she's quite very very wise and all that. And she had not even like crossed the emotional stage. And then she said, JD, I am not in love with you or anything, but I know that you are a good guy. But I know that my parents will not agree for me to marry a non-Mallu guy. So it's never going to happen. So, one great lesson that I have learned from my story, right? So if some of us are attracted physically to a person and we feel that emotional compatibility, tell the person, or if it's your parents are going to create a problem, tell your parents at that moment, before that poor guy falls in love with you, so that guy doesn't have to break his heart. Because once the guys transition to that stage of where they want to love the girl no matter what, it's very very difficult for guys to come out of it, because we are naturally tailored and created to be that kind of people, right? So yeah, so be very very careful. Don't let the other person transition to love. Stop it if it's not going to work out at physical attraction or emotional attraction at that level itself. Michelle, do you agree?
Agree, I guess. So you're saying there needs to be some level of communication here, some
Yes,
clarity.
yes. Clarity in the relationship is very important. You can't simply, you can't let the other person simply assume something and you are like, nowhere interested. So it was always communication helps, so that the devil doesn't play the fool in between and distorts and kind of mess up the relationship, because that relationship could could head to a good parts of friendship, right? So that would be spoiled if you complicate the relationship. So I think we have done what nobody has done, to analyze Kuch Kuch Hota Hai under the fabric of the Catholic teaching. Nobody would have imagined in a million years that somebody would do this. So thanks to Michelle, Varsha. Thank you for the hard work you put into kind of research about the movie. Because which year do you remember?
1998.
Oh, all of us would have been in school.
Yeah.
Yes.
To tell you the truth, I heard about Kuch Kuch Hota Hai only when you told me. I've never heard of the movie.
Yeah.
It's really sad. Really sad.
I told him the same thing. I was like, how can you not know Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, I think we were talking about movies in general, and he asked me about one of my favorite Bollywood movies. And of course, that's the first one that came to my mind. And I think my narration skills and, my dramatic skills and everything convinced
That
him
and
so
all,
much.
nothing like that.
He is marketing. Yeah.
And it made him think for the next 2 days he was thinking about the movie. He watched the movie. Of course, he didn't watch the entire 3 hours, but he watched it and finally wanted to do this video. So
Yeah, it's amazing.
10 points for my relation skills.
I think I spoke to the same day with you, right? I spoke to you on a Sunday, right, Varsha? Was it? I messaged you?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. You did.
Yeah. And then
So, yes.
I never thought this will come to reality, because I was not fully convinced, because it's a real, out of the box step, right? Nobody has done it. Of course, Bishop Barron has done it, but for us to do with a Bollywood movie is like, yeah. So thank you, both of
This
you.
is your second one after Badla, right?
Badla, I did it myself.
Yourself.
So it's not a discussion. And of course, we did Matrix. But again, it was not analyzing the plot. We were using one of the themes of the movie to, bring out a Catholic theme. But this is the first time we are analyzing the plot of the movie under the fabric of the Catholic teaching. A lot of people have just would like to read the comments for all of you. I think one person from Sri Lanka. I can put it in the broadcast so all of you can see. Can you guys see? Eranga Veera Singer. May God bless all of you. What you guys do, keep up the good work. Let this kingdom come. Let His will be done. Then Jubia has said, was so excited for you guys to do this review. Then Kavya has said, I've not watched this, but sounds interesting. And then Jacqueline from Dubai, really loved this review, guys. God bless all of you for the lovely work you do with this ministry. And yeah, the many more comments, like, I don't know what they mean, so I'm not reading it. So, throughout the video, around 30 to 40 people are watching it live, so which is a great sign. I think it all has to do with the Kuch Kuch Hota Hai banner, I think. People are just wanting to know
Yeah,
what
thanks to Karan Johar.
We should send this to Karan Johar. He'll be like,
Yeah.
cool, Varsha. Thank you, Varsha. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. So I think we'll bring it to a close.
Thank you,
JD.
Varsha.
Thank you, JD. Thank you,
Yeah.
Michelle.
Bye.
Okay, stay on the call. I'm just
Everyone.
finishing. I'm finishing. Stay on the call. I'm just finishing the YouTube live. We'll just say a prayer and then.
All right.
Okay.
All right.